Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Now in this video what we're going to be doing is using the API master test kit and testing this aquarium. Now we've had it up and running for maybe 3 or 4 weeks, but we started the tank and the process by using goop from Tropco. There's a video prior to this on my channel of how we used the goop and what I've done to sort of kickstart the tank and basically cycle it within 24 hours, which is pretty good compared to how it used to be. So now what we're going to do is just show you sort of how the results are looking after a fortnight, 2 weeks of using goop and having a fair few amount of fish in the aquarium. Now we're testing every Monday, so we tested last week and we were pretty solid. I'll pop up the photos somewhere. A little bit of nitrate, but obviously that was done with water change and we were all back to normal. We had 0 ammonia and stuff like that. You can hear that squeaking, that is my Pac-Man frog behind the camera. Sorry about that. But yeah, so we're going to show you the tank, get the test kit out, show you how we do it and see what the results are. So let's go. So what we do, we go into our drawer, grab this little whiskey cup which we use to fill up water from the tank and sit down here. So we use that. We use our syringe so we can fill up the water samples from the cup. So that can go in there. And then underneath here we have our nets and a master freshwater test kit. So we'll get that out, get some water in and see how we get on. So all I do is literally just open the lid, grab the glass and just fill up about that much water. Doesn't need to be too much, maybe a little bit more. And that will do nicely to take our samples from. Sit that down here and then we can begin the testing. So this is basically everything that we'll need for the test. We've got our chart here so we know what the readings are, along with our water sample, syringe, test tubes and all of the chemicals that we need. So what we're going to do, get the test done and then look at the results. Now to make the process a little bit simpler, fill up all your test tubes with 5 ml of water first, just because it gives it enough time to settle and you eventually need to do it anyway, so it makes the overall testing quicker when it comes to having to stop to fill them up. Once that's done, I always begin with softness first, or my hardness, and then I work my way across. So we're going to do the pH first, and then after we've done all the tests we'll come back and do the high range one, do the ammonia, the other two, and we'll see how we're looking. So the first test is to just do the pH, and what we're going to do is just do the normal pH solution, not the high range. Sorry about my tegu up there, causing trouble. So we're going to do 3 drops of this, 1, 2, 3, and then put the test tube on with the cap and invert it up and down to get a reading. So guys, now we've tested all of our stuff that we need to, apart from the pH high range, which we're going to wash out this one here and check that afterwards. But looking at these results, they look okay. So our pH is looking at about 7.6, but obviously to get a more accurate reading you need to do the high range as well, and then we can measure what both of them readings are and come up with something in the middle. Now the ammonia is reading between 0 and 0.25 parts per million, but it's more towards the yellower side, which is 0, so that is looking good. And our nitrate is also reading 0 parts per million, which is absolutely clear blue instead of like a violety purple. And the nitrate, we're looking at roughly about 20, but the max you can really go for nitrate is 40, and we're looking between 10 and 20, so pretty stable. So other than that, that is pretty good. Now obviously follow the instructions simple and clear on here. I'm not going to run through each instruction, but they are labelled out really well in terms of step-by-step instructions, which is really good way to follow as long as you do it properly. Specifically the nitrate one is really important, just because you've got 2 bottles and one of them needs to be shaken vigorously you need to wait a minute and stuff like that, so that's really important. And obviously you need to wait 5 minutes for the ammonia and the nitrate ones to develop. But other than that, the pH one and the nitrite are almost instant. So what we're going to do is just wait for that nitrate to develop a little bit more, and then once that is done, we're going to wash them all out using this water here, which is left over from the tank, and then test our high range and see what that is coming up with. But other than that, that is pretty good. Depending on what species of fish you want to keep, this is okay for pH. So a lot of Amazon species of fish like angelfish and cardinals and stuff like that, like kind of softish water. And then you've got your harder sort of more fish which like the harder kind of pH, hence why you should test both ranges to get a better reading. Ammonia is always good obviously to be as low as possible, but what is more damaging to fish than ammonia is actually nitrate, or nitrite even, which is actually more damaging long term. So it's good to have both of them as low as possible, being 0 parts per million. Obviously if it is a little bit high, don't panic, you can just do a water change, but eventually that will break down into the nitrate, which you don't really want to be getting anything above 40. So anything sort of down here on the 160 or 80, not too great, but yeah, if you're reading sort of 5, 10 or 20, you're not too bad, or 0. And obviously to get that down, if it was say 160, just do water changes for maybe 5 days. But other than that, they are pretty good results. So we'll take that and we'll have a look at the high range. Now, before we get on to the high range pH test kit or test solution, it's also good to make regular notes of what you're doing. So I've got notes on my phone, which is my water changes, and I do once weekly, and then I record all of the readings here. And that just sort of helps you look at any spikes later down the line. You sort of know what you have and haven't got on a consistent basis. So definitely do your notes. So we're going to get these washed out and we're going to test with the high range pH. So we've done our high range test solution, which is the exact same. Just add the 5 drops, mix the solution by inverting the tube up and down, just like so. And then you can read your result here. Now it's hard to tell with this kind of flooring, but we've got a reading that we expect on here, so that is all good. And another thing, so this tests pH, high range and low, your ammonia, your nitrate and your nitrite. So we also have the API 5-in-1 test strips, because although a lot of people say, oh, they're not as accurate, so if you have just this, it's still going to be more accurate having some of these readings, because these aren't on the bigger kit. So at least you have a rough idea. So these you just put in and basically swipe, and then just swipe them in the water, leave them for about 5 seconds, and they're instantly readable. So we're going to do one of these as well and talk you through the process of that. That way we've done a full test, so we know what our tank is reading. So with the 5-in-1, they're pretty simple. You just get your little tube out here and basically read the instructions, just dip and read, and it is as simple as that. So it does your pH, nitrate, nitrite, your carbonate and your general hardness in the aquarium. So you basically compare it to the back of here. It tells you all your things you've got, like your general hardness, your KH, pH, salt and fresh as well, your NO2, which is your nitrate, and your NO3, which is nitrite. Again, just gives you sort of 2 things to go off instead of 1. So what we're going to do is just pop the lid, grab one of the little things, and if I remember rightly, it says to do for 5 seconds. Dip stick directly into your aquarium, swirl 2 times, remove with pads facing upwards, do not shake off water. There we go. So that is it. So we're going to get it, make some room, shake it 2 times, so in it goes, 1, 2, and that is it. Bring it out onto here, and we're going to let that sit for a couple of seconds and get the readings from it. So after a couple of seconds, you just put your test strip where it says here, the little example, pop it there with your thumb, and then you can measure your GH, KH, pH, NO2 and NO3, which again, they're all looking good. so at least that way it gives you 2 readings to go from instead of just 1. Afterwards you simply just discard the strip and you've still got quite a few in here to use. And again, if you want to test quickly, these are also another method of doing it. So guys, after that test kit, basically what we've done the day later, which is today, we've done a 60 litre water change. That's 168 litres in total with the aquarium, so work out what percentage that is. Basically it is 5 of my 12 litre buckets, so we've done 5 of them, and it's looking much more clearer now in terms of the brown tannin, but that will probably come back over time because the wood is still releasing a lot of tannin, but that is okay. Now the reason why we've done the water change, it wasn't a massive one, we only dropped it a little bit, 60 litres, so not a lot. There was still 100 odd litres in the aquarium. It's just because I'd done another ammonia test after looking at the first one, and the readings were more towards the 25 parts per million instead of the 0. So it's more slightly green, like limey green instead of yellow. So we've done another water change, and what we're going to do is not test straight away. You've got to give the water at least sort of 12 hours to settle back down. So we'll test again tomorrow, and hopefully that will put our ammonia back on to 0 parts per million. So other than that, that is basically how you do your test kits, and what you do if you were to incur a problem like we did with the ammonia. So pretty simple, do the water change and then test 24 hours after done the water change. So I'll test mine this time tomorrow, but I'm pretty positive it will be okay. So other than that, we've got the water looking a little bit more clearer, but obviously that will probably tan again over the next few days, but that's cool, we expect that because we didn't soak the wood. So other than that, that is basically a full rundown of every test you should do on your freshwater aquarium. If you've got any other sort of questions or queries, obviously comment down below, let me know, or hit me up on Instagram at hjreptifish and we can talk about it over there. But other than that, that covers today's video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you for the next one.